19 before 10 o'clock. It's Friday morning at WABC. This is Mark Simone along with Jeffrey Lichtman, Curtis Sliwa, Warner Wolf is with us, and George Weber. We've got a terrible subject to discuss. Remember that old don't let the bedbugs bite? Everybody thought that was all just a myth. Well, bedbugs were a real problem, and now they're back. There's a tremendous problem with bedbugs here in New York, here in Atlanta, other cities that people think immigrants are bringing them here, tourists are bringing them here, that the fact that we're not using pesticides around the world like we used to is one reason bedbugs are...
Not using English-only billboards?
Yeah, that's right. And they're talking about illegal aliens, these bedbugs.
Yeah, but I thought that was a myth. When my mother would put me to sleep, she would say, sleep tight tonight, Curtis Sliwa. Don't let the bedbugs bite.
She called you Curtis Sliwa?
Well,
she's a very formal lady, it sounds like.
Curtis, you know, by mistake. But I thought, what bedbugs? You know, I think maybe, you know, when Grandpa, Grandma were in the old country, Italy or Poland, but...
You know, in 2004, there were no cases of bedbugs here. There were some the year after. Now it's exploding everywhere. And guess who has had this problem in this room?
Curtis?
Who?
Me.
George Weber?
Yeah.
No.
Well, it started...
Just sit over there, okay?
Yeah, move away,
It
George.
started a week or two ago, and I came down with this rash or little bumps all up and down my arm, along my back, and down my other arm. I know I went to my doctor and thought, you know, maybe it was some allergies or something like that. The medication he gave me didn't work. And then in the middle of the night, I'd wake up, and it's like I felt like something was crawling on my back, or maybe it was bit, and I had more of these things. Well, the other day, I wake up, and I just, for some reason, look at the pillow, and I see along one of the creases dozens of tiny little bugs crawling around.
Oh, man.
Oh,
Then I take that and I throw it in my bathtub just to get it out of that room.
And light it on fire, of course.
Which is probably the worst thing I could do, according
Why?
to Exterminator, because now I've just spread the bed bugs to another room.
Oh.
But it gets worse. So I rushed home after the show, and I decided to do a little bigger inspection because I wanted to actually get a sample of the bug so I could take it to the exterminator and say, is this really a bed bug?
You don't know an exterminator that makes house calls?
No, but I wanted to know because a lot of times what they do, here's what they do.
What else?
They ask you what kind
You got
of
a
bugs.
drive-in exterminator?
They ask you what kind of bugs you have, and they prepare all the stuff to come out in the event that you have that particular bug, because this is all prep stuff I got to do. I got to remove all my clothing. I've got to wash all my stuff. Anyhow, so I open up the mattress, and then I look under the box spring. There are a bunch of bugs between the two. God. Then there were thousands of them crawling all around the box spring. And then I noticed a few on the floor. And I'm just thinking, oh, no. So then you have to vacuum all this stuff, get rid of the bag once you've vacuumed, if you think you've done a good enough job. I had to totally get rid of my box spring. I'll probably end up getting rid of the mattress because it was so bad. So I've got an exterminator coming, and they're telling me that these things are not indigenous to the U.S., that they've been brought in. And that's the thing. I'm trying to figure out.
But now you've been away. Have you stayed in hotels outside the country?
I've stayed in several. I've been in Mexico, I've been in Miami, and I was in London within the last year and a half. Any one of these things could have happened. And they say that you can actually be in your home, in your bed, for weeks or months, not even knowing that these bed bugs are there until you actually visibly can see them. You could be bitten and just think there are mosquitoes
Who's in your apartment now?
My dog.
So your dog, what's your dog's name?
Noodles.
You're telling me that Noodles is doing battle by himself in the apartment against these thousands infestation of bedbugs?
See, that is.
Does he have any weapons?
That is how dedicated I am to this radio program. Because I mean,
shocking.
seriously, I mean,
Poor Noodles.
How do you know Noodles didn't bring him in?
Listen, let me tell you something. They tell this story in one of the newspapers about bedbugs of this college guy, or 31-year-old guy, I guess, down in Atlanta, and how it took months and months for him to get him away, and he never did. He actually moved out of his apartment. All right. Well, his problem was he didn't go to an exterminator. He was trying to do this on his own using Raid. Totally ineffective against bedbugs.
They laugh. The bedbugs laugh. Oh, guy's using Raid.
Does Noodles at least have Raid? I mean,
what am I going to do? Spray my dog with
Raid? Does Noodles
Raid?
have opposable thumbs so he could spray the Raid?
Well, you know, the funny thing is I haven't noticed him itching, and I'm reading some other stuff because I've done all this research now since I now have bedbugs.
You have a dog that doesn't scratch itself?
No, he actually doesn't.
You got to take him in, George.
But the thing is, if you don't, if you can't afford to get rid of bed bugs, you're going to be stuck with them for life. I mean, really, it's going to cost hundreds and hundreds, perhaps thousands of dollars for the exterminator to do this. at a rate of like a couple $100 per room. I'll probably have to do several.
Now, this is not something where you can just come in and set off one of those bombs and that's it, you're done.
No. They have several different types of insecticides they use to get rid of them, a powder and a mist. Then you have to go out, in many cases, just get a whole new bed. Sometimes you have to throw out all of your furniture because it gets into that. My mom calls me up last night and says, well, what about your luggage? You might have to get rid of that because that's probably what brought the bed bugs into your home. So it is really frustrating.
Now, John Gambling, who lives out in the suburbs, his neighbors have them, and he says they've spent all the money you could spend, had the best exterminators come in, and they still have problems.
Oh, I don't want to hear that.
Well, this
I don't want to hear
is
that.
sort of similar to what the homeowner has with termites. Yeah. Once you find termites one place, you imagine the worst, that they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And then the costs are humongous. But there is another way that possibly bed bugs get transferred. There's a new phenomenon taking place. The resale of old mattresses. It's sort of like when you retread a tire. Now, I'm not saying you got that.
No.
But, bed bugs will travel from bed to bed. It could be in the same building. In order to save money, what they do is they refix an old mattress, and they'll put it in ceiling, and they'll sell it at like a wholesale outlet.
Oh.
And it looks like a new mattress. It's like a bait and switch, but they're old mattresses that could literally be carrying bed bugs, and once they're hermetically sealed in.
It doesn't make any sense why there's such a sudden increase. I know that the
actually,
excuse is the traveling of
No, the
people.
other thing is we stopped using pesticides in much of the world, and that's why they flared up there and then came here. Certainly like malaria came back when we stopped using pesticides.
We used to, my wife and I, we used to have a place in Marco Island, Florida. And you know what a palmetto bug is?
It's like the size of like your fist.
Well, we had this canopy in the bed, and my wife looked up and said, "What is that?" It was a bug. I said, "Oh, that's it." And she swatted at the canopy. It was like cloth. Boom! Like 8,900 bugs. We jumped out of there.
No.
We took the whole bed, the mattress, everything, put it out in the sidewalk, and get rid of it.
And who would buy a used mattress?
Oh, there are quite a few people.
Well, did they at least tell you who used it? I
They
mean,
look relatively new. The way they refurbish it, reseal it, you would think it was a new mattress.
Well, it depends. If it was used by an old woman, if it was used by Bob Guccione, who'd
I actually saw a mattress on my street down the block with a little sign on it. It's like, take me if you'd like. It's like, why? Why would I want that?
Let's take a quick break for traffic and weather, which we do on the 7s. Debbie Duhane.
Oh, now I'm itchy. Let's see what's happening, guys. The westbound cross.